All right, friends, last week in grammar, we talked about adverbs and we talked about adjectives. So adverbs was at the end of the week, and when we talked about adverbs, we learned that an adverb, what do we hear in there? We hear verb in there. So we learned that an adverb is going to give us more information about the verb. And on Friday, we talked about how adverbs can tell us how the verb happened. And those adverbs usually end in ly. So if my verb is run, my adverb might be quickly or slowly. They tell me how it happened. Today we're going to find out that adverbs can also help us to find out when the verb happened or where the verb happened. So the main thing to remember when we're working with adverbs is find the verb and then look for a word that tells us how, when, or where it happened. We are going to look at workbook page 237 today. So what I want you to do, I want you to have that in front of you. I'm going to put it up on the board here, and I'm going to go through the yellow box at the top, right? Yellow box at the top in the first page with you, and then I'm going to give you a chance on the back to give it a try on your own. This can get a little tricky, so stick with me, and please reach out if you have any questions at all, okay? Here we go. I'm looking at page 237. I'm going to start with the yellow box at the top. So we've already learned that adverbs can tell how the action happened. So we have an example of this in the first sentence here. Keisha reads the directions carefully. So the verb is read and the adverb is carefully. So it's telling us how she was reading. Now, adverbs can also tell us where the action takes place or when the action takes place. So they give us an example. The delivery man set the box here. So our verb is set, and the word that describes it, the adverb, is here. So it's the location. It can also tell us when the action happens. So next, he will sweep the sidewalk. So our verb is will sweep, and we have a helping verb there as well. And our adverb tells us when it happens, and it's going to happen next. So I'm going to move through the guided practice with you, and then you are going to give it a shot on your own on the back. So just a second here, I'm going to move my paper up so we can see all of the questions at the same time. That'll do. Alrighty. The first section, I should say, wants us to decide if it's telling how, when, or where the action happened. So summer will be here soon. So soon tells us when, and summer will be here soon. We will enjoy the warm weather outside. So is it telling us how, when, or where? It is telling us where. We'll probably go inside because it'll be too hot. Families are waiting eagerly for their vacation. So that one is telling us how they are waiting. My family always goes to the mountains. So is that telling us how, when, or where? That one is telling us when they go. The section on the bottom, the directions tell us to circle the adverb that describes the underlined verb in each sentence. So this is where we've got to do that thinking and think about what word in the sentence is telling us more about the verb. So Tanya and her father cooked breakfast today. So think, is there a word there's not a word that tells us how they cooked or where they cooked, but there is a word that tells us when they cooked. They cooked today. Tanya gently cracked the eggs. So do we know how she cooked them, where, or when? We know how she cracked them gently. Her father made the juice next. So is there something that tells us how he made it, where he made it, or when he made it? And it tells us when. So we have next. Then they buttered the toast. So buttered, do we know how they buttered it? No. Do we know where? We don't, but we do know when. It's kind of a tricky time word, but then is our adverb there. So you are going to flip it over and do the back on your own. I'll go quickly through the directions with you. The first section, you are going to do the same thing we did on the front. Decide, is it a when, where, or how? Then in the second section, you've got to do what we did in the second part and decide which word in the sentence is the adverb. Then you need to write an adverb from the box to complete the sentence. So decide which one makes sense in the sentence. And then the last thing you need to do is the apply and write. Write a sentence using the adverb always or the adverb everywhere. I am excited to read your sentences. If you have any questions, let me know.